The dark secret of architectural cinematic rendering in ENSCAPE. Let's get to work. Hello and welcome to the new rendering tutorial in ENSCAPE. So here is the SketchUpArchStudio and we want to talk about how we can create some super realistic render in ENSCAPE. But this time we will talk about architectural cinematic rendering. It's really important how we can create some hyper-realism renders in 3D modeling in architecture. So this is the simple environment related to the living room which I created before this tutorial, and this is the simple 3D environment that we have in here. I'm going to click on the camera number 1 in the SketchUp environment. I want to start my job. So maximizing escape is the first step. After that we need save frame, and after that we need visual setting, all effects. So I will click on the visual setting in here, move it to the left side a little bit to see my environment, and start focusing on my job. So some type of distance like this, for example 64, can be really good. I'm going to turn off the auto exposure and completely re-expose my screen manually. Some number about 63% is the best number and value for it. And I need to click on the depth of field, turn off the autofocus, and I want to focus on these waves in center of my job. So I will play with the focal point and focus on the waves. Yes, exactly, someplace like that. 5.30 meter is good. And if I increase the depth of field, I can make much blurriness in my environment. 24% is good, or I can decrease it to some number about 14%. I prefer to use 14%, and I need a little bit outline, not too much, to create some type of changes in my environment and my 3D render. After that, in the image bar, I'm going to turn on the auto contrast, go to the atmosphere, and reduce the sun brightness as I can to the 0. It helps me to create better rendering in my interior lighting. Some value like 1% can completely change your render setup, so please try to keep it on the 0%. Night sky is not useful, shadow sharpness are completely 0 because we have soft shadows in here, and artificial light brightness related to the interior lighting. But I can increase them about the lighting objects, sometimes it can be affectable. 120% is good. And I want to increase the ambient brightness to make my interior hyperlight much realistic. 70% is acceptable. I'm going to turn off the wind option, and intensity of the fog is 0. In the skybox I will change it to the white cubes, and white cubes can affect my render much more than the past. Density, variety, size amount, and count rail, all of these 4 items are completely 0. And in the output I will change my file format to the JPG or PNG. I will come back to the image bar and play with the saturation, contrast, and exposure. So if I check the auto exposure and re-expose my screen manually, I can reach to this type of render, and it's not really bad. So 90% is acceptable for this job, and I can come back to the image bar and increase the saturation to the 104%. I need a little bit warmness in my render, so I can decrease the color temperature not too much, about 5600 Kelvin. We have some type of little flares and lens flares in here, so I can reduce the bloom option to improve this problem, and reduce your lens flare to the some value lower than 30%. So vignette can be decreased to the 20 and chromatic aberration is turned off. So I'm going to close it and analyze my render. So we have this part of our living room with the lack of lighting. How we can fix it out? So I'm going to close the ENSCAPE in here, click on this part of my job, and I want to add some lights in my environment, but I don't know how. So I'm going to click on the ENSCAPE objects in here, click on the spotlight, and draw some spotlight in here, something like that, and click on the load IES profile. I will add some type of IES profile for myself, so I'm going to click on the home manager in here, drive E, I think. So I have IES lights in here, and I want to use IES number 5 and press open. I can increase the intensity to make this light much bigger than the past. 100% or 100 candela is good. And now I want to move this light in some place like this, near to my job. It takes a little bit time, something like that, and this one. And I need another copy in this place and another copy in this part of my job. But this one is the bulb light, so spotlight not really useful for it. I'm gonna add some spotlight in here. I'm gonna double click on it and play with these angle and these points to change the sun direction of my job, something like that. And now I can click on the rotate and rotate it a little bit inside of my job, move it inside of this work in here and here. I can rotate it a little bit like this, move it another time. It's a little bit related to your coordinate system, so don't worry about it. I'm gonna hold it in some place like this. So I will come back to the camera number 1 in here, and I want to see what's really happening in my job. So I'm gonna click on the start ENSCAPE. It takes a little bit time, and after that ENSCAPE will be load for us. Till now, if this content is useful for you, please like and subscribe our YouTube channel. So, alright. I'm going to minimize the ENSCAPE in here and SketchUp in the left side. So I'm going to select this one and this one, right click and convert them to the make unique, because these lights with this light completely different. So I'm going to click on one of them, ENSCAPE objects, and increase the luminance intensity as I can. And you can see some type of lighting in this part of your job, and it's really good. So 3600 candela is acceptable, and you can change the color of it very simple and easy. How you can do this job? Watch this. I'm going to click on the paint bucket and click on the creamy color in here and add it to my lights. Very simple. Your light color completely changed for you. So another light we have in here have the same story. When I click on the ENSCAPE objects and increase the luminance intensity as I can create some type of angled light in here. If you look at this part of your job and turn it to the 1000 candela. So I want to use this color for this one like the others. And when I come back to the visual setting and go to the atmosphere bar, I have some option which called artificial light brightness. If I increase it, these power source will be completely get much stranger and help you to create these type of lighting. But don't make this value too much, because sometimes completely exit your render from reality. 114% is good and ambient brightness is 71%. So I need another copy to the left side of my render. So I'm going to click on the move option in the SketchUp and take another copy in this part, and I want to rotate it. Very simple and easy, like this. Another time, another rotation. I can click on the flip option to make this job much faster and easier. So I can move it a little bit to the right side and rotate it, something like that. Click on the move option and take another copy to some place like this. So I'm going to move it to the center point, another copy in this part of my job. and re-rotating this face for the better lighting in here. So everything is good. I can click on this one. Sometimes it's not detect your surface in the ENSCAPE assets. Don't worry about it. You can select it very simple. Select both of them, convert them to the make unique, and select one of them again, ENSCAPE objects, and increase the lighting as you can. It helps you to manage both sides of your render in your lighting. 3600 candela. It's good. I will come back to the camera number one in here. Everything is done for me. If you want to add some type of backlight for this part of your job, you can click on these lights, take another copy to some place like that, and move it a little bit to this part of your job. Make it to the upside, a little bit in here, here, and now I want to angling this job like this to make my render much realistic, something like that. Sorry for the wrong coordinates sometimes happen. Everything is good for me. Another rotation like this, and I can move this light a little bit to left side like that, and another one, another copy in here. Everything is good and done. So maximizing ENSCAPE for the last time, and now I'm going to click on the visual setting in here, click on the atmosphere and increase the artificial light brightness a little bit. 126 is good, ambient is 68, or it can be increased to the 74%. Image bar, I need a little bit saturation for better detail. 114, and color temperature can be decreased to make my environment much warmer. 5000 candela or Kelvina. Lens flare is not really useful, main bar is okay, and time for the rendering. Change it to the ultra quality rendering, and I think everything is good. Time for the job. So I'm gonna minimize the ENSCAPE for a while, and I want to create some type of door for this part of my job. I can do this work much easier. You can cover this area or not, it completely depends on you. I prefer to use it like this. So click on the save frame and convert it to the Ultra HD, and time for the rendering, render number one, and I want to call it living room dark theme in here on my desktop, and press save. It will take a time, and after that some type of architecture cinematic render in ENSCAPE will be generated for you. If you like this content, please like and subscribe our YouTube channel. We need your support, we need your subscribe, because we spend most of our time on these tutorials. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and goodbye.